Hello. So my name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the Center for Nonprofit and Community uh, Development. Today's video is going to be on, you could call it the meeting after the meeting video. About a month ago, we gave a workshop on how to start what's known as an L3C. An L3C is a low profit, limited liability company. The presentation we're about to start is going to be someone that actually took the course and that's about to start in L3C. But before we go there, just want to share a little bit of information about me because people have been asking how did the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development get started. Actually, we got started in 2007. And we got started as a result of me losing my job back then because of a financial crisis that hit the nonprofit market when the bubble burst. Shortly after losing my job, I was evicted from my house. From that eviction led, and a lot of people don't even know this part of the story that I'm telling you, because I always believe in being strong and making it through whatever. So after that, I then being evicted, I found myself in what could be called a poor trailer park, but this trailer park consists of mostly black people. At one point, before I had left that situation, the owner didn't pay the electric bill, and electricity was cut off, and we literally had to live in a building that was hot with no electricity for a brief, a while, a little while. All during those what I could call my downtime in life, I saw it as an opportunity to reimagine and reinvent myself. So from day one, my goal was to, how do I get out of this? And how do I do it in a way that I was better than I was before? Fast forward, 2023, Center for Nonprofit and Community Development is kicking butt. We have provided assistance in to nonprofits in over 15 states throughout the United States, probably in every time zone but mountain time zone. We have provided training to over 2,000 nonprofit individuals, faith-based groups, businesses, institutions of higher learning, etc. In order to, and I think this impact goes to show how losing a job led to another way of life. We have been successful because 99% of our work is done online, virtually. That means we can do business in New York, Chicago, whatever the case might be. Because we provide the technical assistance, we could provide the research, document preparations of all those things that that group needs to make it. So what am I saying? Sometime in life, when everything seems to be falling apart, that you have to use this time as a time to plan a way to change the narrative. That being said, I'm really in deep into that, and I should have gone that deep, but people have been asking. So let's start the presentation on the class, the follow-up class to the I call it the class after the class, with a student giving its perspective. And we've gotten the same response from every last person that took that class. So, we're back again. As you know, my name is Michael Randolph, and I'm with the Center for Nonprofit and Community Development. And you know, we work with nonprofits and for-profits all over the country. Our last workshop talked about a new type of funding source. It was called an L3C. And I was very excited about it and the things that you can do with it. But before I go into an overview of it, I got some folks here that actually attended that class. So would you be so kind to introduce your name, and what was your takeaway from the class?
My name is Lorenzo Magwood, and to be honest, like I was telling you, it was a dream come true for me. With that class, I mean, with that class, with the L3C, I found out that we have a lot of liberty to do other things as far as, making more money, people sowing into your ministry without, all the other stuff that's attached to it. So I just, it just really was an eye opener for me. And I didn't know that they, had this type of, L3C like this. I never knew that.
We're finding a lot of churches like yourself that are looking at starting an L3C. In addition to your traditional 501c3s, who's also looking at becoming an L3C.
Yeah, this way. At the same time, it really was just a blessing to me to learn some of the stuff that I've learned in that class. Not having a 501c3, it was just a real blessing for me, because now we could do stuff more freely versus having a board and people over you. And, and I know when you have a board, sometimes if they don't like it, they can vote you out. But with the L3C, I found out you can have more freedom. So I thank God for that.
Exactly. And L3C allows you to be independent. Unlike a nonprofit, it's owned by the board of directors. So the board of directors can actually vote you out of office. With an L3, it changed the whole narrative as to how you can operate. And I'm sorry for the background, but that's my so-called smart intelligence talking to me in the background, reminding me of my performance. So anyway, I didn't want that to catch that. But anyway, let me continue on. I'm very excited about the L3C and what it can do. So let's quickly talk about what an L3C is, what it can do. What is a charitable cause? Profit, limited, liability company. It is a combination of a for-profit and a non-profit into one business model. There are several requirements that an L3C must meet. And we talked about those requirements during the last class. This is a follow-up to that class. So we talked about a significantly further accomplishment of one or more charitable or educational purpose. That is, an L3C has to be purpose-driven instead of profit-driven. How does an L3C get this money? Well, the IRS allows subsidies to corporations that give 5%, at least 5% of their net profits towards a charitable cause. That can be for a grant to a nonprofit, a 501c3. or it can be what's known as a profit related investment from the bank. That is a low to low interest loan. This low to low interest loan becomes the equity needed in order for the L3C to leverage different streams of funding and to leverage monies for different types of investments, unlike a 501c3, which is limited. So, looking at an L3C versus a 501c3, and 501c3 is limited in terms of the funding that it can bring in. That funding can be government, foundations, or donations. That's limited, the types of limited dollars that the 501c3 can bring in and maintain its status as a 501c3. On the other hand, an L3C has built-in financial self-sufficiency. For one thing, it has an ongoing influx of money from foundation by way of program-related investment loan. It's like it's got ongoing equity that it can use to seal a deal. It can use this equity to leverage angel and rental capital and connect to below market rate income. Totally different in terms of a nonprofit. The other thing about the private investment loans that come from banks, some of the favors that come with that is that you get you get interest-free or low market rates on loans. How many for-profit organizations would love this? You get increased loan participation, loan guarantees, equity investment. And we're going to talk about some of those equity investments and how you can use this to both increase in investment, how you can increase, how you can invest, and how you can increase that investment, as well as the different leases that come along with going banks with a foundation. And you know, a foundation can be a bank, a credit union, or any of those type of financial institutions. It can also be like a, So let's talk about the equity investment related to the L3C. First of all, it brings its own owner's investment to business. It brings this by way of the program-related investment loans that it gets from foundation and a corporation. It can use this money to invest in shares of public companies. They can do acquisition of stakes in another company through merger, venture capital investments in startups. Look, private equity investment in mature companies. It has this flexibility of increasing equity. Common stocks and preferred shares. It can hold stocks such as exchange traded funds or mutual funds. It can invest in common stocks or in subsequent common stocks of corporate entities, such as investments in entities such as partnership, unincorporated joint ventures, and limited liability companies. In addition to that, as a for-profit, it can raise capital by issuing debt and selling shares. So let's talk about how to start in L3C. And the way you start in L3C is by first, and we provide all these services. First, well, let me go back 1 second. You can start in L3C even if you're not in one of the states that permit L3Cs. Right now, there's certain states that permits an L3C. But you can start an L3C in that state. So the first thing we do is to file the articles of organization. We work with you and get the name for your LLC, the purpose, creating a registered agent, putting together a management structure, putting together a duration for your LLC, tax identification. We also put together business plans and subscription plans related to your LLC.
Now, another benefit of an L3C is that the salary compensation is not limited on what the person that's heading it can make. Nonprofits' salaries are based on what the general market will bring about, unlike the value market or the market rate market, in which your salary can be determined by you. So that's another benefit to starting an L3C.
The other thing that's worth noting, and we talked about earlier, is that when you decide to dissolve as an L3C, unlike a nonprofit, that when it resolves, it has to give all this access to another nonprofit, the faith community, or the government. As an L3C, when you dissolve, you actually can distribute the proceeds in this activity to you, the owner. So these are the different states that you can start an LLC in. So that means that if you don't, an L3C, if you don't, if you're in Florida, for example,
the group that we heard from earlier is going to start a L3C in Chicago. Even though they're in Tampa, they plan to start an L3C and one of these states, Chicago, so that they can be in a position to increase the monies that's coming into the Florida's operation. Because the L3C that's in Chicago has so many different ways of earning income, from stocks, bonds, to partnership and buying into companies, the whole 9 yards that you heard about earlier. It can use the dollars that it brings in. And because it's an L3C, not a nonprofit, it can actually fund the nonprofit or the church, for example, that's in Florida. So that's another benefit of being in Florida in terms of going down and starting an L3C in another state. So that being said,
yeah, I like this idea. So I'm going to start one in one of these states. We will work with you in starting a L3C in another state. Also, if you're a nonprofit, if you want to create an extended arm of that nonprofit, in one of these states and create your for-profit arm in another state. That way you can bring money back to your nonprofit here in Florida as a funding source. Since the L3C can fund and invest in other companies. So that is the gist of what we did an overview about.
And let me just go back and finish off by saying that we're looking forward to working with you to start an L3C. I think the typical person that starts an L3C is a person that has a charitable cause in their heart. But they want to do that charitable cause by way of creating a for-profit business. By doing this, let's say, for example, if you have a nonprofit in Florida and you decide to start a for-profit arm or an LC3 in Chicago, you can actually use that organization to bring back money to your nonprofit here in Florida. I hope this presentation has shed light on the possibility. During these times of crisis that's in our nation, financial crisis, lack of affordable housing, lack of good paying jobs, health issues, all these major issues that are part of our society. Using this type of charitable cause, you can increase the dollars amount in the tens of millions, if not the hundreds of millions, in terms of bringing in money from different avenues, different streams of avenues that you couldn't normally make. In other words, you become good at making money make money. With that investment from the bank, you can use that money. You know, the investment from the bank is the program-related investment loan, which is some case no interest, in other case low interest, that you can use as capital to get started. I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to working with you in order to bring your dream come true. Don't be like the typical nonprofit that gets started. The owner been there for 30 years. Then, at the end of the day, when all that work that the owner put in it or the person that started the nonprofit put in it, the only thing they get is a plaque saying job well done. Well, this changes the narrative because you actually own the nonprofit. So that means that 30 years later, if you decided that you want to close down the nonprofit, you can close it, and all the assets and all the earnings that brought about during that time can go to you. Or you can decide to will it over to the group to continue on the nonprofit. But at the bottom of the line, you have choices, and you just simply cannot be voted out of all the work that you did, and the board being able to vote you out. Many of times I know nonprofits in which their leaders were voted out by the board of directors. So again, I hope this has helped you. I know I'm energized. I know that people now are beginning to see the new generation next school approach to charity causes, and they jumping on it. So again, let us help you to be able to bring about the good in this country, but to do it in a business entrepreneur